You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number, do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
it's a rough estimate of
system
6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me. I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
It is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, the American people want solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
That is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
Because there was a solution, Brett.
They also just endorsed Donald Trump and said you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They're working hard. I get it.
You supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago.
You chose a running mate, Tim Walz, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossing. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
This is a time when voters are inundated with commercials and ads. This particular one has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
Well, I will tell you, well, you know what, you got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgery.
I was there. Like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people say-
inflation and invite have more in common than what separates us.
Madam
That
Vice
is
President, more than
turning the page.
70% of people
That is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than
people are
70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country. But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But you're
people
the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, grievances and it being about him
Madam
instead
Vice
of
President,
the American people.
if
People
that's the
are
case,
tired of that.
If that's the case, I know, but
It's
if
not
it's
supposed to be. It is a
Are
cakewalk
they
for
misguided, the
anyone.
50%?
Listen,
Are they
I'm-
stupid? What
oh
is
God,
it?
I would never say. It's about an enemy within, an enemy within. Talking about the American people.
He was asked about that
No,
specific-
that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and
I'm
respect
telling you,
to
that
you,
was the question that we asked him.
you didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you, just as I
you have a
think
say
Donald
in
Trump would
this.
say he did. For
But
the
let's-
American
we'll move
people,
on.
I'm offering a plan to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President.
but
You call
let's not
Donald
diminish
Trump.
the significance
you
of that.
called misguided. You say now
He's
he
unstable.
is unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not.
And-
You
and
told
we
many
should all be
interviewers.
concerned.
When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but
Donald Trump
But
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
after
is.
George Clooney said
and
within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden
Trump,
at Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot,
Right.
and that
But those
is
proxies
and,
were getting
and
funded
my
by Iran.
commitment to that.
Allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions
Let's
in
go back
oil
to Donald
profits.
Trump,
Hold on.
who pulled out of a deal, Iran in check.
The estimates
and then
in billions
it was during Donald Trump's
that go
administration
towards
that
the Iran regime.
that we have to mention
Madam
how
Vice
Donald
President,
Trump has
all of this money
has treated
that
and
has
talked
gone
about
in the
America's
past few
military
years.
and military service people,
Critics
calling
say
them
that it goes to
suckers and
Hezbollah,
losers,
Hamas,
has diminished
and
the
Houthis.
significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
Well,
But you're not-
I would like that, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on
we-
this a
and
decision
there are
that
critics
they feel
who look at what the
President
administration.
of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism